And you mentioned in your talk about the problem of scale, and I think that's something that we're going to see, the incredible growth in not only in the amount of published material, but the large data that is now, that really was the focus and of your talk, and how that's growing, and how the complexity of dealing with someone's approach to that data set is. I think that's a serious issue that will not be solved very easily by a small not-for-profit company, relatively small not-for-profit company.
One small thing that we're doing right now, and this is actually a small project coming out of Microsoft Research, is we talk about big science and big data, but there's also the long tail of science. You know, what happens as you were saying, you know, at the bench, and what individual researchers are doing on the computer. And a lot of that happens in Microsoft Excel. And you know, that's not necessarily an ideal scenario, but that's what
that's ground truth.
That's where that's what happens.
I mean, there's some great studies out of University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana, Carol Palmer and her colleagues that really have been doing these surveys. And you know, what's happening on the ground is that a tremendous amount of stuff lives in Microsoft Excel.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
So we've actually started a project with the California Digital Library, with the California Curation Center, to actually help us build an add-in for Excel that we're calling it the DC Excel project, or data curation in Excel, that will allow a researcher at the time of capture, it will actually prompt them to say, oh, what do these rows mean? What do these columns mean? What is, you know, what was this pull on the from what larger data set? What was the date?
Yep.
So to capture some of the provenance at the time, so that you're about to actually submit it to a database, or send it to a colleague, or send it to a journal. They actually have that and will travel with the document. Or with the Excel spreadsheet. So we're just kicking that off. We're actually in the requirements gathering phase, and so Carly Strasser and Tricia Cruz and some folks at UC3 are working on that. So we're going out to a bunch of different communities to gather those requirements, and it's pretty much anecdotal at this point, but it's somewhere around 70 or 75% of the scientists that we've talked to said, yeah, I use Excel every day, and that's exactly, you know, I'd love a tool like that. So we have to build that and get that out, and it's addressing just a small part of it, but
it's such a wonderful example of how a smart investment of fairly small size can really make a big difference. I mean, I just think it's wonderful that you've taken that on.
So is that, do you download from Excel like in XML? Or?
So this would be an add-in. It will probably be built in the next 6 to 9 months, but it will be a free add-in that would be, you know, made widely available. We'll build it in conjunction with the CDL. We're asking them to do the requirements gathering. We'll do the building. We will give it to them actually open source. The goal is to give it to them open source, and it would be an application that they, or an add-in that they maintain, build a community around, so that at that moving forward from a sustainability perspective, it won't be something that Microsoft Research manages, it'll be something that the community manages. But it would be a free add-in that you could download simply and then use. So, but I would look at it as, again, once these things start hitting college campuses, the role of the library to help disseminate that information, to make sure that scientists knew that that was a tool that was available to them. And it's something you can even literally, you could, using things like the SWORD protocol, you could actually upload straight from a spreadsheet or straight from a Word document to your local institutional repository. So that's a protocol that came from JISC about 3 years ago or something. So there's a lot of things we could do.